Carefully, you can pick out mitotic figures in the glandular epithelium, and that's contrasted with secretory, where you have this luminal profile that's serrated or sawtooth. All right? Yeah, half of the cervix. Remember, we can just flop that around. And let me focus it. So, what kind of epithelium is out here? Stratified squamous, non-keratinized, and as we get down into here, it's exactly. Notice that the underlying tissue in the cervix has less smooth muscle and more connective tissue. It's a more dense, fibrous structure. And here's that infamous squamo-columnar junction. Well, I forgot to put the vagina in here. All right. Remember, the vagina and the esophagus are potential lookalikes, but the vagina lacks the muscularis mucosa. Okay. What are we looking at here? Yeah, a lobule of the mammary gland, and we could say that not producing much here. All right. Mostly ducts or their rudiments, which can, with the proper hormonal influence, develop into secretory alveoli, which have lots of milk in the lumen. And okay, let me, yes, Catherine.
Submucosa and vagina.
Well, you know, this gets to an interesting question. I mean, if you think about regions where we have a well-defined submucosa, they generally have a muscularis mucosa, which separates the lamina propria from the submucosa. The gallbladder, we don't have a muscularis mucosa, so the connective tissue in contact with the epithelium is the lamina propria. So it's just sitting right on the muscularis, right? You could say the same thing for the vagina, although you'll find in some texts that they refer to that layer as a submucosa. You know, for my keeping things straight, if you lack a muscularis mucosa, I'm going to say that you've just got lamina propria sitting right on top of the muscularis. But you're going to read texts that say something different. Okay? All right, what can I tell you about the exam? As I've already alluded to, there are quite a few slides that you know are going to be there. All right? Esophagus, vagina, carotid, submandibular, pancreas, parathyroid. I mean, you can go through the list. Those are going to be there. The exam will consist of 23 stations, right, with a microscope and or micrograph, and if I remember right, there are 3 or 4 micrograph stations, all right? We will always provide you with a low power context for the micrograph, and then we'll have a higher power picture where we may be asking questions, all right? So, you know, we don't want to violate that basic concept here, is that you need the context to make your decision. So the exam then, each station will have 3 multiple choice questions associated to it, and they will be related in some way to either the glass slide or the micrograph. And that relationship may be, well, remember that one question where we asked you to identify the type of connective tissue, and then we asked you a question about fibroblasts, okay? So it may be directly related or indirectly related, all right? We'll be asking ID. Again, these are multiple choice, single best answer. So what is it? And the new twist here is that we'll have a multiple choice set up on discriminating characteristic. Again, multiple choice, so you'll have a single best answer. And then the functional tie-in, or there may be book knowledge tie-in. All right, so basically the same format as the midterm, with the exception of that discriminating characteristic setup. Still 3 minutes a station. All right, I don't think many of you are going to argue that you need more time. 3 minutes can be an eternity, especially when you know what you're talking about. Now, after you finish that portion, we rotate through the stations. When everyone's rotated, we'll turn the microscopes off. And then, if you haven't already worked on it while you're waiting to move stations, there will be a figure to label. My big hint to you is It will be a figure in the syllabus that appears after the midterm. All right? And then there will be a set of matching questions. Again, all of this can be filled out on a Scantron, trust me. The matching questions will be related to the endocrine system. So, imagine this is an ideal place, calcitonin statement of what it does. All right? I don't think that, short of giving you all a copy of the exam, I should be more explicit. But I'm willing to entertain questions, which I may or may not answer. All right, what I'm going to ask then is that you show up here a week from today, and if you would assemble outside at about 8:45. That'll give us time to make sure that everything's set up. And you don't need to bring anything but a clear mind. Make sure you put something in your bellies for breakfast so you don't have hunger pangs in the exam. And a number 2 pencil, although as you know we provide that. All right? Good luck.